Well, let's jump into our NBA picks for Monday night. The Grizzlies and Mavs, Hornets Jazz, Wizards Lakers. We got some great games coming up, Brett. I mean, there's also even the Bulls Rocket in themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna find myself on two of these games, but I'm gonna focus in on Grizzlies Mavs, a little division game, Higgins. But I'm gonna take Memphis plus 4.5 in this one. I think Memphis has been playing a little bit better than Dallas, so I'm just gonna take the slightly better team. I don't really know if they're better talent wise, but they've been playing a little better this year, so I'm gonna take the better team this year with the points, and hopefully they'll keep it close at Dallas.
I took a look at that game. I think that's going to be a fantastic game to watch. I agree. It seems like Dallas may be rebounding again, so hopefully a competitive night between Luca and Ja. But those two are exactly why I don't know what side I can be on in that game, because if they both show up, it's going to be a grueling game. If one of them shows up and the other has a rough night, it's going to be a landslide either way, probably, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it'll be a close competitive game, and 4.5 points is enough to cover that. I probably would have taken Dallas's 4.5 point dogs as well, so I'm really playing the number here, Higgins.
I understand that. I understand that. I am going to go in a slightly different direction, just looking at the hot team. The Utah Jazz, against the spread and in real life, have just been phenomenal. Except for their most recent loss against the Clippers, they're 9-1 in their past 10 games. And if you look at them against the spread, they're 22-7 on the season. So even though they're 12-point favorites over a Hornets team that's honestly probably feeling a little inflated, a little high on their horse, considering Terry Rozier's amazing comeback on Saturday night, draining those free throws and then hitting the buzzer beater as well. I think, though, they're going to come into Utah and they're going to have a little bit of a gut check. Utah's a good team, and 12 points is a lot, but I expect them to cover like they've been doing all year. The numbers tell me don't fret. I'm going to follow the numbers.
Yeah, the Jazz have been covering like crazy. They've been winning like crazy. Higgins, you're right. 12 was a little bit too much for me, so I stayed away. And Charlotte's played well. LaMelo Ball's looked really good since he's been inserted into the starting lineup, averaging 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and I think over 12 points. So he's been a nice addition to the starting lineup. You mentioned Rozier. Rozier's borderline all star the way he's been scoring the basketball. I don't think he'll get in, but I mean, the numbers, Higgins, right on that borderline is an elite scorer in this league this season.
The East guards, the guards in general for the All Star this year has been very hard to decide. There's going to be a few players that get left out of that All Star team that deserve All Star worthiness in their accolades, absolutely. But Jazz, just following the numbers here at minus 12, it's a big number, but I think they'll still cover against that Charlotte team. Another game I'm going to be on, Brett. The Portland Trailblazers are heading to the Phoenix Suns, and I'm gonna follow with Portland because when they're on the road, they're playing great. When they're at home is when they're actually having a bit harder of a time. But they're 10-5 on the road. Damian Lillard has shown he can just flip that switch, and he's been doing it recently and just been going off. He might be getting disrespected in that All Star consideration, by the way, for the West. Who knows? But Portland plus 6.5. I think this is going to be a closer game than that. I think this is a game that Portland potentially wins. I'm going to stay away from the money line. It's juicy though at plus 220. It is juicy. I'm tempted, but I'm going to just go with the Portland plus 6.5.
Yeah, Dame was a little disrespected not being a starter, but he'll be an all star. I'm not too worried about it. And Portland with the plus 6.5 here, it kind of makes sense. Phoenix has played really well this year, and Portland's a little banged up, but I agree that's a little bit big, especially for Dame. Dame can certainly cover that himself if he's hot. So, 6.5 is within reason for me too, Higgins, but I'm gonna stay off it for you.
Should be an interesting one. Should be an interesting one. I've been loving what I've seen from Lillard recently, and especially on the road. I talked that disrespect when Portland had to fly the day of a game from OKC in our group chat. You and I were talking. I thought that was going to be a big issue. Damian Lillard proved that was not an issue for him at all. He played phenomenally.
Yeah, I mean, Dame is an elite player that can take over any game in the regular season for sure. Another elite player, Higgins, Bradley Beal. He's actually leading the league in scoring, and the Wizards have won their last 4 games in a row. The Lakers, meanwhile, on a 2 game losing streak, and I get 6.5 points with the Wizards. So, as a Russell Westbrook fan. I'm in the Russell Westbrook fan club. I'm a believer in him. I don't think they're just empty stats. I think he is a winning player. I'd like him to shoot better from three, but what are you gonna do, Higgins? Not everyone is Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Some players, have ceilings, Higgins. And if his ceiling is averaging a triple double in the NBA back to back years, well, damn, he's a pretty damn good player. So I like him and Beal on the road, plus 6.5 at the Lakers. And yeah, this is a points play, Higgins. I really don't think Washington keeps the winning streak going in this one. I do think the Lakers figure it out. But I don't think Washington goes out by over 2 possessions. No, I really don't. They've been playing too well.
Hey, I agree with you for two reasons. One, the Lakers are dealing with AD out and Dennis Schroeder's out, so that's a guard down for that Russell Westbrook Bradley Beal duo. And then Washington against the spread as an underdog has done rather well this year. They're 11-9 as an underdog overall. As an away dog, they're 6-5. So we talk about sports betting 53% of the time, 55% of the time. That means you're a winner. Good job. Edging over 50% even in those stats. Good job, you're a winner. So follow those stats just over 50% of the time. You'll get your money back betting on Washington as a dog right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, they're playing really well right now, Higgins, in general, to be quite honest. So, if there's a time to bet on Washington, the time is now while the iron's hot.